Hey y'all, thank you for tuning into Whining About Motherhood. This is a new podcast series, episode, just a new thing that we're doing. And I have Miss Co-host Shanice.
Yay!
So, girl, what are we whining about motherhood about?
Girl, going in the trenches.
All the things, y'all. I feel like we were a little unprepared going into motherhood in this stage of life. Yeah. Not even a little. But we really just wanted to create this space for moms to be able to talk about that like in between stage that's not often talked about. So like not the newborn, not the infant stage, not even when they're like out of high school and getting out the house, but that like preteen, that teen stage that like really makes you question like,
yourself?
Was I made for this, Jesus?
Yeah.
Yes. So we wanted to create this to be able to hold this space for you all because this is a space that we needed as well. So who are we?
Who are we?
All
right. So I'm Shanice.
Shanice.
I was born here in Richmond area. Grew up in Florida, but then came back and then went back and then came back. So I've been a little bit all over the place for a while, but I'm here. Making roots here.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I like Richmond. I like to eat, so it's great because there's a lot of restaurants.
Girl.
What else about me? I have a kid. I have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Sophia. That's my girl. She's about to be 12.
Mm-hmm.
And just saying the words is just a little weird to me now because she's like literally almost my height.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice that until like she came back this weekend. I was like, yo, you're getting tall for real. Like low key. Like you really actually getting tall.
Yeah.
Like before it was like a little inch by inch, but now you're like actually getting taller. And that's different. What else about me? I work here in the city. I work for a nonprofit, have my own business. It's to be creative. Small plug. But, we do the social media management and marketing. So that's fun. So this is new for me, y'all. I don't even like being on camera, but here we are. But anywho.
We done got her out here, y'all. This is not her thing. She is completely out of her comfort zone, but I appreciate you for it. So hopefully y'all know a little bit about me, but I'm Jaida. I have an 11, almost 12-year-old son named Jamarius. And I work full-time as a contract specialist, and then I have a business as a virtual assistant. So when you think assistant, think of all things administrative. It's pretty much what I do. On top of being in the trenches in motherhood, that and like I'm a dog mom now. So, oh my gosh, I got 2 kids. It's a lot of work.
Different.
It's so different. And like I got her as a puppy. So like
it's a baby.
She's a literal baby, and she's so sweet. But she is that second born. I promise you. That's what it feels like.
So like not ready for that.
Don't do it. Don't do it. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and now that I know, cool, great, love her down. But like,
this is different.
This is very different. So, yeah. So one day, me and Shanice. Well, first of all, me and Shanice met. I don't know what year it was. The kids were little,
like 5. They were like 5.
They were little.
6. They were small. Like I remember thinking about this, and I was like, they were like actually like really tiny.
Yes.
Like I mean, she's already tiny, but like they were small. Like 5. It had to be like 5 or 6. I think it was when I came back from Florida. So she was probably like 4 going on 5, or like between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So that's been like. If they about to be 12,
6
like
years.
6, 7 years.
Oh my God, I've known you forever.
It's right. That's a long time.
Gosh.
That's a really long time.
Yeah. So we met.
We met on the elevator.
We did, going up to another mom's event.
Yeah. I remember that particular day. My intention was to go and be a volunteer, support young mothers, because I think it was teenage moms.
Yes.
They were a little bit younger than I was as a mom, but I was going to volunteer, do all the things, but they had some requirements that were a little outside of like what I felt like I was able to do. Mm-hmm. They were like, yeah, your first thing you should tell the girls is to pray about it. And I was like, I love that. But as a young teenager and a mom, like you're like, that's really never your first instinct.
Right.
Like, granted, I think you have to build up to that.
For sure.
But to just be like, sorry, honey, you should pray about it. Like, it just sounds kind of crazy, especially with me being a teenage mom. It's just like, I know what you're going through.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you to just, girl, you have to
pray about it.
Pray about it.
No, it's not realistic.
On the Lord. It's not. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. And I think we were both leaving and you were saying the exact same thing. And I was just like, girl.
Yeah.
But I don't know like what happened from there, but like, I know remember.
We connected. You had Sophia's Love.
Yes, my
and
nonprofit.
we were talking about that.
Yeah, like I don't remember where I was in that, in that process. But I remember because I had a little mom group. We was going out every month. I was like, you should come.
Yeah,
and it's been like we've been doing stuff like that ever since.
Literally.
Like, so it's interesting how like the journey from there to here.
Yeah. So crazy.
Like, yeah. And it's been such a long time. So
yeah.
It's like, wow, it's interesting.
Which is so funny that a mom group is how we met. And now it's like, okay, create said mom group that's really needed. So that full circle.
Yeah, it is a little bit full circle. Because I mean, I was even thinking about it. I was like, man, I kind of like miss doing that.
Yeah.
But I think now in how my life is set up, like that's just not what I need. But I want to be able to help in some other way.
Yeah,
like,
I feel that
because I ain't got time to be planning like trying to get everybody together on their schedules,
it's
kids' schedules.
Yeah,
it's
with them doing after school sports and activities.
We got weekends, and now everybody getting married and boyfriend. Like it's just like a whole nother thing.
But that's it. That's why we're in the trenches alone because other moms are getting busy with life, getting married, having more kids, doing after school activities. And it's like, I'm too busy to be able to be like, okay, so how we meeting up? How we getting the kids together? How are we talking? And so if we can at least start with this.
I think this is a good little space for it.
But yeah, so that's how we met. That's how things are kind of coming full circle. Yeah. And so that's really why we're here, because we wanted to create this space for other moms in the trenches, like
going through
us.
Life, trying to figure this out. It's different. It's different.
I'm stressed.
I try not to be stressed.
Yeah,
but it's different. I think it's not really like it really isn't talked about. Like, and I realized that, like, you know, they're like, oh, you get the baby shower. People buy the diapers. They're like, you will be staying up all night.
Yeah. You get all the advice.
You get ready for like that
cards.
part. And then you go, you know, they go to school. And I feel like that's where like all the stuff kind of like dwindles down.
It does.
Like they go to school and you're like, yeah, you know, you got to keep up with their grades. And like, you're like, yeah, I get that.
I've been at school. Do homework.
But like the whole process of becoming a teenager or like becoming a young adult, nobody talks about. It was like nobody said anything about any of this.
Girl, so Demarius has been going through puberty. Love that for him. So he's breaking out. I didn't get acne. I wasn't breaking out at his age. And so at first I'm like, okay,
like, I don't know what
here, there. Let's just make sure we're washing your face correctly. Because like boys are gross. I don't care. They're disgusting. And I'm just like, let's just make sure that you're actually washing your face and doing it correctly. Okay, cool. Bumps are not going away. Okay, so you need a skincare routine. I'm on TikTok, I'm Googling, I'm trying to find something like what is good for preteen and teen skin. I found a little bit of something on TikTok, but still not anything specific. And I also like to be specific to us and our skin tone and our skin types.
Yeah. That's the hard part too.
Yeah.
Especially because like I'm this color and she's caramel, so it's different.
Yeah.
Like,
and then like the skin types, like do you have oily skin? Do you have dry skin? Like, and then we have to figure that out. So I had to like
trial and error.
Google literally. And I told him, I said, it's trial and error. I said, we're just going to figure it out. Like we'll just try some things and be consistent with it day and a night and then
see what happens.
But like, I feel like certain things like that could seem so small, but I feel like even in my childhood would have been ignored because it's just like, sometimes I feel like our generation of parents had this, like, if I ignore it, it doesn't exist.
That is so true.
And it's just like,
literally what happened to me.
It's not going to go away.
That's how, like, my parents found out I was having sex.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, yeah, she needs to go on birth control. My dad was like, no. I was just like,
if we ignore it, it's just not going to go away.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. You think I'm not doing it? Mm-hmm. Probably lying to yourself. But okay. That's what we're going to do. That's cool. But
that generation was very sweep it under the rug. Ignore it. I don't claim
perfect.
it. Yeah.
That ain't a God. Girl.
It was always, I'm not claiming that. I rebuke that. But what are you doing about it? Like, because are you even actually praying about it, or are you just like
ignoring it?
I'm not.
We just not gonna do that. That's just not it's not happening in my household.
Hello.
Do you know your child?
And again, getting to know them in that stage where like life is hard for them. They're trying to fit in, or are they being themselves? Do they have the confidence to be like, to know what to stand on, to be themselves when everybody's doing something and, not trying to be easily influenced? Like, are you getting to know your child in that stage and what that looks like? They don't. We are, though.
We are. I think we're doing a whole lot better job of doing that. But I also feel like them, when they get older, they're going to do even better because there's still things that we don't know.
Exactly.
And like, we only know what we know and what we're learning, which is like interesting to think about, like, as a parent, because your parents were doing the same thing. Yeah. Like, they were teaching what they knew.
Exactly.
So they weren't really learning much, but like, we've tried to take that and said, well, they didn't do that. So let's try to figure out how we can maneuver this a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it kind of sucks sometimes when you think about like, oh dang, I wish I would have known.
Yeah.
But like, you can only do what you know.
Exactly.
In the moment.
And girl, we're unlearning and learning new behaviors and just trying to
very much so
literally figure it out. But I tell Damaris all the time that my ceiling is his floor. So like the highest that I can go is just where you start. Right. So like, it's always just going to be better for you in anything that you do. I pray that. Absolutely. So like,
I have to remind you. I think that's a good reminder to like our kids, because I don't think they always understand that, like, they see what we see, but like, there's still so much more that's out here. Like, there's more available. There's, more that you can explore. Yeah. Like, I only did what I could do because I had you when I was a teenager. Yeah. But you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you can go and do an XYZ and like travel and explore and all those things. Like, you don't have to just stop here. Like, that's not all that's right. there. Like, just because that's what you've been living in. Like, you can totally do more.
And I had Damaris at 15.
Yeah, girl. I know that's different.
Freshman year of high school. Like,
you just got here. I'd have been so mad. But the thing was, that happened to me my first year when I went to college. So it was worse.
Like, about that first year.
No, I was just out there doing my thing.
See, and like, I wasn't, but like, I grew up in church.
I did too.
So,
girl,
the minute I got pregnant, it was she was hoeing and she was and I was just like,
thinking that, but they really
don't know nothing about. And I'm not the type
but even
to
if I was,
because even if I was, what about
none of my business, none of your business.
Are you talking about it or are you praying about it? Hello, what you doing?
Go to God. Go to God.
Having him at 15, and then like my mom was just really like, you have to get through high school. Like you have to get through high school. You have to get through high school. So like those 4 years, I had no fun. Like it was just school, Damaris, work. Like that's it.
You worked too.
I did.
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine, like, which is crazy because like when I got pregnant, so like when I was on campus in college. I had like the work study job, but it was just like a campus job. But like when I left and came back here, like when I was pregnant, I ain't worked the whole time.
Yeah,
all I did was get fat,
girl.
That's really it. That's all I did was eat and sleep.
Yeah, But see, that's a real thing sometimes.
And you know, like the thing, I don't even know, like, so like as I've looked back at like my whole journey, like I didn't think that I knew that depression was a big part of all of that. But also, like, my mama and them, they didn't want me to work. Like, I moved from Florida. I was in North Miami, sunny Florida, and came back here. People were like, why are you here? I don't know why I'm here. Like, I just got to be here. But they didn't really, I don't think, from what I remember, like, they was like, you don't need a job. Because by the time I came back, I was like 5 months pregnant. Yeah. Like, I was already, like, showing. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go work at whatever. Yeah. Realistically, that wasn't happening. So I didn't really work until after after she came, maybe like a couple months. Okay, yeah. I went back to work. And thank God for my grandma, because she kept her and watched her. And let me tell you something. Was able to let me work, because
the grandmas, my grandma and Damaris were best friends. Like, my mom and my grandma will alternate watching him. They were like, he's not going to daycare. We're not doing it. So grateful for. Yeah. I've had that support, that back and forth. Had none of it in my pregnancy. But by the time he got here, they couldn't let him go. So
I don't think people understand like what support really means.
Right. And it makes such a big difference in having it. Difference.
Like in the beginning, during, afterwards, in the future, like all of that.
The different stages and of
that was like the biggest reason why I started the nonprofit, because I was just like, I felt very like alone in that. And like, it's funny because like now it's 2024, right? So 12 years ago, young single parents was not really like a big thing. Like it was still like, oh my God, like you saw one of your classmates get pregnant, it was just like, she's pregnant. Like, you know what I mean?
You've been doing it?
Yeah, like for real, like, and you got a baby, like that's wild, you know. Like it was still like kind of like that. Like now, when you see it, it's like, oh, like she was just, you know, she need to wrap it up next time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was so like, oh my God. So the support for it was like almost like people
non-existent.
They looked down on you.
Oh yeah, no, I know. In high school, after I had Damaris, I got with the school nurse and was like, because she told me there were some other girls who had been pregnant too. And I was like, oh, why don't we just like do a group or something? Yeah. She was like, okay, yeah, we can see what we can do about that. So she did whatever she needed to do to get it approved. We ended up doing that. And so we had a teen parenting group, because some of them were couples. Yeah. So like the dads were with them.
That's crazy.
So we did that at the school that I went to. And then she talked to some of her other nurse friends at other high schools, and they ended up doing the same thing. And like the last time I talked to her, the other schools were still doing it in the same county. Wow. Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, granted, like, I don't know if they had that because I wasn't in high school, but I feel like that probably would have been cool and like
definitely
beneficial for
especially just being by myself. Like freshman year, you know what I'm saying? It's like I had some friends, but not for real. My baby daddy was going to a different school, so like he left me. Yeah, like it was just like,
all right, that'd be the thing right there. Yeah, Sophia's dad was always like in a different place than I was too. So that makes it hard too when you're not like literally together all the time. Like I want you to be stuck at my hip.
Literally. Because I mean that's part of the support. Yeah. And not having that is hard.
And at that age, we ain't really even understand what that needed to look like.
Agreed.
And then I think as like the father, like they just were kind of like, oh my God, what is happening?
Literally.
And it kind of like did that whole thing with like, I'm just going to act like it ain't here until it gets here.
Oh, see, with my situation, he wasn't allowed to be around me until they did a DNA
test. That's rough. But you know, like, and then I think that's also still speaks to like how that generation of parents literally ignored stuff.
Literally,
like,
because he would...
Cause like, who else? Like, y'all just gonna act like I'm just gonna sit here and lie, like
make this
gonna
up?
Make it up. Do you really think I want to have a baby right now? I just came up out of nowhere. You know what?
Your child is the one that I chose.
You're gonna be my baby daddy.
This
today.
Is what I want.
Like, what?
Yeah.
I think that was part of the thing that my parents had difficulty with because my parents have been together.
Okay.
So when they had me, you know, there's 4 of us. And they've been married my entire life. Yeah. So like the whole single parent idea or like young parent, my parents were like 20 something when they had my brother. Mm-hmm. I think they were 26. Mm-hmm. They were like older. Mm-hmm. They were like 30 something when they had my little sister. So like they were like older, you know, a little more established kind of parents. Mm-hmm. So like it was just like, oh my God, like you ruined your life. Like, you know, that sort of thing. And I don't think they really understood how to be supportive. Yeah. In that, you know, in that time period. Mm-hmm. Like that's a whole story.
And see, I really hope that this also opens up a space for them. Yeah. You know, and not just for our parents specifically, but I mean like that generation that like are dealing with a single mom or, you know what I'm saying, that like are helping raise their grandchild or something, or wants to help raise their grandchild. I hope that they can see things. A lot of times I tell people, you need to just ask God to help you see things the way that He sees things. And that will alleviate a whole lot. Yeah. Like the scales completely come off your eyes, because we can get so stuck in ourselves of like, this is how I see it. I don't understand. I don't get it. I can't get it up. Exactly. But if you take the time to really like try to find God's heart in it, I feel like you'll be like,
and let God do the judging part.
Hello?
Let Him do that. You just be supportive. Just be family. That's all you need to do. Right. That's really all you need to do. And sometimes that can take away a lot of issues on your end. Agreed. A lot of heartache, like pain, you know, like I agree. The relationship can still be intact if you let God do that judgment.
Exactly. Let Him handle that.
What can you really do about it? It's done. It really is. You know, you really can't do anything else about it. Yeah. So you let Him do that part, and you just be supportive.
Yeah. Like, a lot of them got scared and just, like we said, opted out and was just very like, I'm just going to ignore it. And I'm glad that we're not doing that, because it is scary. And I can completely understand going that route, because it would be so much easier to be like, I'm just going like, that don't exist. Because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Sorry to this man.
I don't know that man.
I'm glad that like, in the face of adversity and like in the midst of it being fearful, that we're like, but I'm facing it head on. Like, I'm just gonna figure it out. And worst case, I don't say or do the right thing, but I'm trying. And like communicating that with your child. I tell the parents all the time, when God gave you to me, He did not hand me a manual and say, this is what He needs. I said, so I'm not always going to say the right thing or do the right thing. I said, but I'm trying. Mm-hmm. And I need you to understand that, because it's okay to be like that was
we're literally
it.
and I've had to mention this to Sophie as well. Like, we've grown up together. Like,
literally
everything that you've been dealing with, I've dealt with at the same time. Yeah. Like, some of this stuff, like, I've never had a kid before. This is my first time. So, literally.
And I've never dealt with you at this age. Yeah. I've never had a kid at this age.
So I remember me being this age, but I don't remember having to teach anybody else how that, you know, like how I did, you know, what I did at the age. Like, it is such a wild concept to me. Yeah. Like, thinking about the fact, like, oh my God, my daughter's gonna have a period one day. Girl. Like, I was just like,
shout out to you, cause
oh my God, like, that's so crazy. But it's real, and it's one of the things, like, I had to like face that like head on, because it was just like, I'm nervous to even have the conversation, because my parents never had that conversation with me. Like, they never talked about, they really didn't. Mom was just like, here you go,
here's a pad,
ma'am. What? What do I do with this?
Girl.
Please help. Send help.
And it didn't help that they were like 12 foot long with no wings and stuff, and you'd be like, what am I gonna do with this?
I made sure I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do you like that. Yeah. We're gonna talk about this. Yeah. So we will be open and honest and everything.
Have those conversations.
You're gonna know everything
on their level and like what works for them. Yeah. So my mom got me a book about my body. Wow. So for me, Damaris doesn't like to read. So I was like, well, what am I going to do to be able to like get him to understand about his body and things like that without throwing him a book, because he's not going to be interested. And I'm like, he loves YouTube. There is a whole thing about puberty and your body in different stages, and for boys and for girls. Mm-hmm. So like, we was watching YouTube videos. Now he was mad because we watched them together, and he was like, Mom, I'm like, you need to learn, and I want you to be able to talk to me. So I was like, well,
and I want to see what you see too. Like,
exactly. You know, I mean, I could watch it first. Yeah, they're short. They're like 3-4 minute videos. But I'm like, if you had questions or something, you could be like, huh? Well, what does that mean? Or what is that word? You know? So yeah, but he was just so embarrassed the first time I made him watch the video, and it was just like, masturbation. And he was like,
awkward.
And I was like, right. This is a technical term for things. Like, this is what this means. And
no, that's funny.
Yeah, so I'm just like...
I had to do the book, though. But we read it together. And then, like, in the book, I kind of did it in parts. Because some of it, I was just like they talked about sex and stuff, like, in the book. And I was like, I don't think we're there yet. Like, we're going to, like, wait until we get there.
Yeah.
But I think it was helpful, one, to give you, like, a little bit of a guide.
Yeah,
and say,
for
like,
sure.
Hey... These are the things that you should talk about. Like, and I'm like, okay, because girl, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to start. I was so nervous. I had to write talking points in my
literally. It's so
like, oh my goodness,
girl. Like, I was just
I
like
was hot.
Literally, because it's just like I'm just as embarrassed as you are. Like, right. I don't want to do this any more than you want to do this.
And like, they understand that, but that's hilarious. Because I was just like, yo,
literally.
Like, oh my god, like, okay, so
yeah,
this is how you got here.
Yeah. Yeah, girl, it's a lot. And I tell the mates all the time, like, when you learn certain things that you don't always understand, just know that, like, there's a part of your brain that's trying to understand it, but, like, you're not there yet. Or, like, you're going to understand it on a different level.
When it comes.
So, like, there's certain things we can, like, even talk about a little bit now, but some
we'll
point,
have to
like,
talk about it again.
Yeah, your brain can't even fully comprehend what I'm really trying to say. Yeah. And my favorite thing to tell them is, like, your body is going to tell you you're ready for something that your mind is not. So, like, you can be thinking, oh, I'm feeling all these things, and that your mind has no idea what's going on. And you're not supposed to yet. And that's okay. We'll talk about it as you get there. I said, but don't let your body try to trick you into thinking, like, I know what's going on.
Some crazy situation.
And I feel like this is going to be so good because we have so much to talk about. Like, you know, co-parenting for you, no parenting for me. I obviously don't have a partner to co-parent with. Just talking about
parenting, like, with new partners.
That
I think it's a good thing to
dating,
because that's so
when
different.
do you introduce partners, like your partner, to your children, like?
And I think it's different, like, now as they're, like, older than when it was when they were younger. So, like, it's a lot.
Yeah, creating a foundation for your kids and God, what that looks like, what that means, how that works for you and your child versus, you know, trying to
thought, like,
or how you grew up. We're gonna talk about me being high school teen mom, you being college teen mom, all those things. But there's so much that, like, we gotta whine about. All right, so I'm gonna ask you, how is parenting in preteen years different than parenting in the infant, the toddler stage, and the elementary school years?
So I'm gonna sit back and think about this because I feel like there's a lot of difference
for sure.
But I think the biggest thing is really like the intellectual stuff, because when you're in the beginning stage, like, you're really just teaching them, like, how to live.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go to the bathroom and
eat your vegetables
and have your fruit. Like, don't eat everything you pick up off the ground.
Yeah.
Like, that's dangerous. Like, don't touch the stove. It's hot. But, like, now it's like, okay, don't talk about your friends behind their back, because how are you being a good friend? Like, make sure that you're actually washing under your armpits, because they stink when they don't. Like, it's a different level of, like, teaching that you have to do, and it's more of like, I'm trying to teach you how to be a good adult. You know what I mean? Like, before it's really like, you really are just a kid. Like, I can't talk to you about everything, but you know, throw your trash away, say please and thank you, like, basic. But now it's just like, girl, let's turn the lights off, because bills, you know, actually do exist. Like, are you saving your money, or are you just planning on spending it all? Like, you know, really, like, it's a deeper level of, like,
I agree,
intellectual type thing.
Like, teaching them how to be able to take care of themselves, teaching them how, like you said, to be a friend, to one day, other people. Be a husband or a wife, or, like, to be a good partner, what it means to take care of yourself, like, what it means to be supportive for your family. Like, there's so many lessons that, like, we had to kind of figure out that, like, we're trying to teach them. And I feel like that is,
you have such a short period of time to do it. Like, I was thinking just the other day, I was like, yo, they will be graduating like high school in like 6 years.
Please.
Like, you know how quick that is? Like,
yeah, when you met Kaylin, that was 6 years ago. She's graduating this year.
Like,
we're doing college tours and
like, it's wild to me.
Yeah.
But like, that's literally the stuff we have to actually like prepare for. And I think like for a lot of parents and like mothers, we get stuck in the fact of like, oh, this is my baby. Yeah. Like, this is gonna be my baby forever. And yeah, they are. But they're also not gonna be a baby forever. Yeah. Like, you have to still instill in them very practical, like actual
life lessons,
life skills, things, because if you don't, they're gonna end up being mama's boys or like daddy's girls that really don't know how to do anything for themselves. And then they'll end up being one of the partners that we
have come across. And it's like, who raised you?
Who raised you? Or what the lack of raising that they did because they didn't teach you like how to do very simple things, but that are like important things. Like, we need to sweep after or cleaning up after yourself, or like washing clothes, like basic things. Like, and surprisingly, but not surprisingly, there are plenty of parents that don't think about that part. And I think we think because they're so small and they're so cute and, you know, you just want to hug them and love them and, you know, be with them forever. Like, we think that they're going to be that way. And that's not always the case. Well, that's not the case at all. Like, they're going to go off. They're going to go to high school and college. And when they're out in the world, you know, going to their first job, like, that's one thing. Because people always be like, oh, I want to work. I want to make my own money. I'm like, girl, ain't nobody going to hire you if you don't clean up after yourself at home. Like, that's what they're going to ask you to do. So, like, if you don't do it here, you definitely not going to do it out there. Like, and this is your space. So you have to learn how to care for your space because it's yours. Take pride in it. Like, nobody likes a dirty freaking human. Nobody. Unless they're dirty themselves. That's it. But like, other than that, nobody wants that.
I agree. I think one thing I've had to get out of my own head about lately was like, in being a single mom, is like, I was operating out of fear for a lot of things, where it's like, because it's just me, I want to be here for you. I want to be your mom, but I want to be your friend. And I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I don't want to say this wrong to you. But that it's like
right there.
Oh my gosh. I had to be like, God, please help me, because one, you shouldn't operate out of fear for anything. So I had to really like stop and, you know, pull myself back from that. But I was watching a video or something, and people were talking about like, you know, kids were talking about something that they were dealing with like in their childhood. And it was like, you know, people always come and say about single moms. And it was like, well, what do you feel like contributed to like your unhappiness in your childhood? And they were like, was it like that your father wasn't there? They were like, you know, was it because you were missing a parent? And it was like, no, it was my mother's unhappiness. And I was like, well, like, I think that's how they summed it up. They didn't say that exactly, but I was just like, that is so true. Because as a mom, as the nurturer, as the person that is like here all the time, like, how I present myself to you and in this house is gonna make the biggest difference. I can't just be in fear of, well, you ain't got no daddy and you ain't got no stepdaddy, and like, what am I gonna do? Like, that's not what's gonna like pour positivity into you. So like, let me just make sure my overall happiness is seeping through so much that like, it's just like, I'm not even worried about what I missed out on or what I didn't have or anything like that. So like, girl,
it's all about what you can do. Like,
mentally,
I said that. I have to tell myself that too. Like, and it was more in the beginning, because I think I've gotten to a place where like, now I'm just like, okay, like, I can only do what I can do. And I'm gonna let God do the rest, because I cannot control what's happening outside of the house. Like, everything that happens here or everything in our car, like when we're together, like, that's what I can control. But like, outside of that, I really don't have any control. So I can only give you as much of like the nurturing, the love, the happiness, joy, like all the things that I want you to have here. And when you're outside of that, you know that you can always come and get that here.
I agree.
Because
Girl,
I be scared a lot of the time about a lot of things.
I'm so excited about this. I feel like we have so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
So like, this is only the beginning. I'm really excited.